In the winter of 1916, in the heart of Imperial Russia, a group of powerful nobles gathered inside a grand palace. They had made a decision. One man had to die. He was not a king, not a general, not even a politician. He was a wandering mystic, a peasant from Siberia. Yet somehow this man had become one of the most powerful figures in the entire Russian Empire. They poisoned his food. He didn't die. They shot him. He still didn't die. What happened that night would turn into one of the strangest and most terrifying stories in history. This is the story of the man many believed could not be killed. This is the story of Grigory Rasputin. Rasputin was born in 1869 in a small frozen village in Siberia. The village was poor, isolated, and buried under snow for much of the year. His father was a farmer. His family lived a simple life. There was nothing in his childhood that suggested he would one day stand at the center of Russian power. Rasputin could barely read. He had no formal education. But villagers began to notice something strange about him. He spoke often about religion, about visions, about God. Some believed he possessed mysterious spiritual abilities. Others believed he was simply strange. As he grew older, Rasputin began traveling across Russia as a wandering holy man. He dressed like a monk, prayed constantly, and claimed he could heal the sick. In a deeply religious society, people listened. Some believed he had divine powers. Others believed he was a fraud. But his reputation kept spreading. Eventually, his strange journey led him to the capital of the Russian Empire and to the doors of the royal palace. At the time, Russia was ruled by the Emperor Nicholas II and his wife Alexandra Fyodorovna. They lived surrounded by luxury and power. But inside the palace, they carried a terrible secret. Their young son, the heir to the throne, suffered from a deadly disease called hemophilia. Even a small injury could cause uncontrollable bleeding. Doctors were helpless. Every attack could mean death. The royal family lived in constant fear. Then Rasputin arrived. According to witnesses, whenever Rasputin prayed beside the boy, the bleeding seemed to stop. The child became calmer. The attacks faded. To the desperate royal parents, it felt like a miracle. They began to trust him completely. Soon, Rasputin was welcomed into the royal palace. The peasant from Siberia now had direct access to the most powerful family in Russia. But outside the palace walls, people were furious. Rumors about Rasputin spread across the empire. They said he drank heavily. They said he behaved wildly in public. They said he manipulated the empress. Some even believed he secretly controlled government decisions. To many Russian nobles and politicians, Rasputin was a dangerous influence. They believed he was weakening the monarchy. And by 1916, Russia was already collapsing under the pressure of war, poverty, and revolution. Many believed Rasputin was making everything worse. And so, a group of aristocrats decided something had to be done. They planned his assassination. The plot was led by a young nobleman named Felix Yusupov. Prince Yusupov was one of the richest men in Russia, and he believed killing Rasputin would save the empire. His plan was simple. Invite Rasputin to his palace late at night, serve him food and wine filled with poison, and wait for death to come. The poison they prepared was cyanide, a powerful chemical capable of killing a man within minutes. On the night of December 30th, 1916, Rasputin arrived at the palace. He was led downstairs into a small dining room. Wine was poured, cakes were served, but the cakes were filled with cyanide, enough poison to kill several men. Rasputin began eating. One cake, then another, then another. The conspirators waited. Minutes passed, then more minutes, but Rasputin showed no sign of sickness, no pain, no weakness. He kept eating. He kept drinking. The poison had done nothing. Panic spread among the conspirators. This was impossible. Finally, Prince Yusupov decided there was only one solution left. He pulled out a revolver and shot Rasputin in the chest. The mystic collapsed instantly. His body fell to the floor. For a moment, the room was silent. They believed it was over, but the story was far from finished. After some time, Prince Yusupov returned to check the body. Rasputin lay motionless on the floor. Then suddenly, his eyes opened. Rasputin stood up and lunged toward the prince. Terrified, Yusupov ran upstairs, screaming for help. The other conspirators rushed in. They fired more shots, again and again. Finally, Rasputin collapsed into the snow outside the palace. This time, he did not rise again. The conspirators wrapped his body in cloth, carried him to a nearby bridge, and threw him into the freezing river below. The icy waters swallowed him, and the man they believed was destroying Russia disappeared into the darkness. Days later, Rasputin's body was discovered beneath the ice, but what investigators found shocked everyone. According to reports from the autopsy, water was found in Rasputin's lungs, which suggested something terrifying. He may still have been alive when he was thrown into the river. Rasputin's death quickly became legend. Some believed he truly possessed supernatural strength. Others believed the story had been exaggerated over time. But one thing was certain: killing Rasputin did not save the Russian Empire. Just months later, the country exploded in the Russian Revolution. The monarchy collapsed, the royal family lost power, and the empire Rasputin once influenced vanished forever. Today, the story of Rasputin still fascinates historians. A poor peasant who rose from a frozen village to stand beside kings and queens. A man feared by nobles, trusted by royalty, and remembered as the mystic who refused to die. Whether he was a healer, a fraud, or something stranger, his legend remains one of the most mysterious stories in history.